So hey guys, welcome back. Today's anime is literally something else. This is the story of a boy who walks a very thin line between genius and madness. For as long as he could remember, he wanted to be a hero. Over time, however, he realized his human limitations. He could master every martial art in the world and easily take down a group of street thugs, but against firearms, he would ultimately lose. He figured that if he became the strongest man in the world, he might have a small chance of surviving that encounter. But if a massive nuclear blast fell from the sky, the boy knew his fate would be sealed. We begin the story with Nishino as she gets ready for school. She is a beautiful girl and a famous actress, but she carries a horrifying past. Nishino was once kidnapped by a stalker and has lived with that mental trauma to this day. To keep her acting career afloat, she maintains a perfect facade in public, but she has a very tough time putting on a genuine smile. Whenever she meets this boy at school, she gives him a polite greeting. Nevertheless, she has to remind him that her name isn't Nishimura. She can't believe he gets it wrong every single time. He surprises her by saying that he actually does remember, explaining that he's usually good at remembering the names of important NPCs with a main story arc, but that he just hasn't been getting much sleep lately. She has absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but she is just happy that he remembers. She doesn't dislike him because he gets her name wrong. She dislikes him because he generally ignores her existence. She puts on a mask every day and tries her very best to make sure she is liked, but this boy never seems to look her way. The kidnapping and the Crowbar Nishino has never walked home alone since the day of her incident. She normally waits for her driver until nightfall, but tonight he is nowhere in sight. Feeling uneasy, she decides to walk home anyway. While on her way, Nishino feels the anxiety building inside her. Suddenly, a man approaches and asks if she is Nishino. She immediately tries to run, but unfortunately, this was a planned ambush. She is desperate to escape, but her efforts are useless. Just before she passes out, she spots a boy in the distance. She wakes up in an abandoned hideout with her hands tied behind her back. As she tries desperately to free herself, she hears a dark laugh. A man in a white suit tells her she shouldn't have walked home alone. Another man in the back mentions that she just needs to stay put and she'll be free to go once they get the ransom money. But the man in the white suit has other plans. He tries to intimidate her, grabbing her face and striking her, mocking her that she should be used to this since it's her second time being taken. He tells her not to struggle, guaranteeing that no one is coming to save her. Suddenly, they hear footsteps. The man in the white suit pulls out a weapon, but a masked figure steps from the shadows and tosses a glass to distract them. The mask wearer calmly states that the criminals make too many pointless moves before quickly taking the first guy down. The military man in the back is impressed, stating he's been waiting for a strong opponent since he was kicked out of the army. He welcomes the challenge and lunges with his blade. The masked hero counters with a crowbar, declaring that crowbars are the ultimate tool. He whips it around, demonstrating how it can be used with precision. The military man bashes against it like a beast, claiming he only needs to protect his head. The masked boy agrees, but notes that his opponent's power level is simply too low. He explains that while the crowbar is great, he realized it wasn't enough when he used it to take down rival street gangs every night. So, he began to use it like a heavy club, discovering its true, crushing potential. I hope guys you're enjoying the video. Please show your support by leaving a like and subscribing. The next day, Nishino arrives at school. She wears her usual public mask and greets the boy once again. She mentally prepares herself to be ignored, but smiles anyway. To her surprise, he looks directly at her. In his eyes, she sees a reflection of herself, another person living behind a mask, hiding in the shadows. She desperately wants to know him better. Unfortunately, this chapter comes to an abrupt close. The boy is reborn as Cid, born into an aristocratic family in a magical new world. The Kagenou family is renowned for producing the best dark knights, fencers who enhance their physical abilities using magic. But Cid chooses to keep his true powers a secret, hiding behind his incredibly talented older sister. He is determined to become the Eminence in shadow, acting as a perfectly average background character during the day, while operating as a legendary mastermind at night. During one of his nighttime excursions, Cid obtains a powerful slime bodysuit that can take any shape or physical form. He also encounters a cursed, rotting creature and decides to keep it to experiment with his magic. After a month of magical testing, the curse is finally lifted, and the creature transforms into a beautiful elf. Cid immediately puts on an act. He fabricates a grand story about how she is a descendant of the legendary heroes who defeated the demon Diablos long ago, and claims that he is on a mission to stop an evil organization seeking to resurrect the demon lord. She asks for the name of this villainous group. Cid hesitates, telling her she'll be in grave danger if she knows, mostly because he hadn't actually thought that far ahead in his entirely made-up story. She insists she doesn't care about the danger. She just wants justice against the people who cursed her. Having absolutely no clue what to say, Cid ironically spots a nearby whiskey bottle labeled, "The Cult of Diablos." "Yes," he declares dramatically. "Their name is the Cult of Diablos." He introduces himself as Shadow, he who lurks in the shadows to hunt the shadows. He asks if she is ready to follow his path. She tells him he is her savior, that she owes him her life, and that she won't show their enemies any mercy. Loving her enthusiasm, he names her Alpha, the very first member of their brand new organization, Shadow Garden. Over the years, Cid continues to take a back seat to his sister, pretending to be nothing more than an entirely average swordsman. Meanwhile, Alpha begins recruiting a group of highly skilled warriors into Shadow Garden, completely dead set on combating the Cult of Diablos. One day, Cid's sister Claire is kidnapped just before her 15th birthday. Beta informs Cid that the kidnappers are members of the Cult of Diablos, but Cid still believes his own story is fake, assuming they are just basic thugs looking for ransom money. Shadow Garden easily infiltrates the enemy hideout. Outnumbered, the lead kidnapper attempts to flee after taking a powerful enhancement item. Unfortunately for him, he runs straight into Shadow. Shadow effortlessly deals with the kidnapper, completely overpowering him even after the villain consumes more power-boosting items to bulk up. Without ever realizing who her actual rescuers were, Claire makes it safely back to the family estate. Later, Alpha reports to Shadow that the team is leaving him behind for a while. She explains they need to set off to fight the Cult of Diablos on a global scale. Cid just assumes they are leaving to do their own thing, still completely convinced that the Cult of Diablos is a fictional story he made up. He figures that everyone is the same, no matter the world. Eventually, people grow up and abandon their childhood fantasies. He believes he is the only one truly standing by his dream. He thinks back to the final moments of his previous life, remembering his realization that the only way to truly become a superhero was to find real magic. He credits his relentless persistence for finally allowing him to achieve his goals. Cid eventually arrives at the Midgar Kingdom to attend Midgar Academy. He follows in his sister's footsteps, doing just the bare minimum to enroll in the most prestigious institution for Dark Knights. Cid is incredibly diligent in his background character role. He lives in the average student dorms, makes average-looking friends, and even goes as far as intentionally losing a bet by getting the worst score on a school test. The penalty for losing? He is forced to confess his love to Alexia, the most popular girl in school, purely to face the total humiliation of rejection. Secretly, Cid is thrilled. This is the perfect way to cement his status as a pathetic background character. He practices all night, convinced his confession will be an Oscar-worthy performance. He plans to confess, get rejected, and fall on his face crying. However, when he makes his grand confession, Alexia shockingly accepts. Cid is instantly distressed. He worked so hard to stay out of the spotlight, only to accidentally walk straight into the plot of a romance anime. While everyone stares in shock, he tries to ruin the date by acting extremely gross and eating intensely, hoping she'll dump him. Instead, she invites him to take the same fencing class as her. During the class, Cid spars with Alexia. He notices her fundamentals are great, but her style is incredibly bland, a stark contrast to her older sister, who is currently the strongest Dark Knight in the kingdom. Later, Cid accidentally overhears a conversation between Alexia and an instructor named Zenon. Alexia tells Zenon that she is now dating Cid and absolutely will not be getting engaged to Zenon. Cid confronts Alexia, asking if she is just using him as a shield to get out of her arranged engagement. She bluntly admits that she is. He tells her he doesn't want any part of this unwanted attention. She smirks, telling him that's too bad. She interrogated his friends, and they squealed about the lost bet immediately. She threatens to get him and his friends in major trouble if he doesn't play along. He warns her this probably won't end well, but she just calls him annoying and casually flips a gold coin. Cid scoffs, asking if he looks like the type of guy who can be bought with money. But the moment she hands over a massive stack of cash, he hilariously accepts the deal. For the next 2 weeks, the pair act like a heavily devoted couple in public. But one day, Zenon and his royal knights surround Cid, placing him under arrest. The accusation? Kidnapping Princess Alexia. Alexia awakens in a dark cell next to a horrific, mutated creature. She is soon greeted by a crazed doctor chanting about royal blood. When Alexia asks what he plans to do, the doctor reveals she possesses ancient demon blood, and he plans to use it to resurrect the demon lord. Meanwhile, Cid is imprisoned and ruthlessly interrogated. He takes a severe beating, but internally he is ecstatic about how great this situation is for his background character persona. He plays the part perfectly, crying and begging them to let him go. Eventually, the guards release him, fully acknowledging that a weak background character like him couldn't possibly pull off a royal kidnapping. When he gets back to his dorm, Cid is greeted by Alpha, the first time he's seen her in 2 years. She informs him that the cult is indeed behind the kidnapping, and the very knights who interrogated him are secret cult members. She advises him to lay low while she searches for the princess. While waiting, Cid uses the bribe money he got from Alexia to buy himself some incredibly fancy furniture for his secret base of operations. Beta soon arrives, admiring the room's new makeover, as Cid dramatically sips a glass of wine. She tells him their preparations are complete. He declares that tonight will be their grand debut, and the whole world will finally come to know the name. Shadow Garden. Back in the underground facility, Alexia is weak as the crazed doctor continues to draw her blood. He shouts in triumph that he has finally completed his prototype. He injects the royal blood into the creature, causing it to mutate into a massive monster. It instantly turns on the doctor, taking him out, but surprisingly spares Alexia, breaking her chains. Alexia tries to escape before the beast goes on a full rampage. On her way out, she runs directly into Zenon. He reveals his true colors, stating that she can't run because this is his secret facility, and he was the one funding the doctor's dark research. Alexia tries to fight him, but he mocks her, claiming she will never be as strong as her sister. Alexia is quickly overwhelmed and pinned down, but just as she loses hope, she looks up to see a dark, hooded figure approaching. Zenon attacks, unleashing his strongest magic, but Shadow doesn't even flinch. Shadow simply mocks him as he stands menacingly above the corrupt knight. Enraged, Zenon fires away with all his might, but he stands no chance as Shadow lands a devastating blow. Desperate, Zenon consumes special enhancement items, unleashing another massive wave of power. But once again, Shadow effortlessly pummels him, stating that a warrior can never be truly strong by relying on borrowed power. Terrified, Zenon demands to know who he is. Shadow's magical aura explodes outward with insane pressure. Shadow begins to tell the story of a boy who wished to withstand a nuclear blast. The boy developed his muscles, honed his mind, and perfected his skills, yet he couldn't become the almighty being he wished to be. But he never gave up on his dreams. After years of relentless training, he came to a single, terrifying conclusion. If he couldn't defeat a nuclear weapon, he simply had to become nuclear himself. With a blinding flash of magic, Shadow completely obliterates Zenon and the facility in a massive, glorious explosion. The next day, Alexia catches Cid up on the crazy events from the night before. She sincerely thanks him for pretending to be her boyfriend during those past 2 weeks. Blushing slightly, she asks him if he would want to be in a real relationship from now on. Cid firmly rejects the offer, perfectly maintaining his background character lifestyle. And the anime ends here. Now guys, tell me how you felt about the story, and if you enjoyed the anime, then please make sure to hit like button and subscribe to the channel, and leave a sweet comment so I could pin the best one.